you lose fat, shape your body without feeling miserable, and keeping the results off for life? First and foremost, we can't talk about optimizing your fat loss without speaking about metabolism. Studies have consistently shown that the more aggressive your fat loss phase is, or the deeper your caloric deficit, the higher chance you have of actually regaining that fat that you lost. In some cases, you may even gain more weight after that diet. And that's why understanding your metabolism will help you understand why this actually happens. To keep things simple, your metabolism are all of the chemical processes that keep you alive, keep you healthy, keep you moving. And these reactions require energy. The total amount of energy that's required in a day is your TDEE, or your total daily energy expenditure. And your TDEE is made up of 4 components. The first one being your BMR, or basal metabolic rate. So if you laid in bed all day and you really didn't do anything, your body is actually still burning energy. This is because you're still breathing, your brain is still working, your heart is still pumping, your lungs are working, your diaphragm is moving as well, and this all requires energy, and that is your BMR. The second component of TDEE is your physical activity. So this is intentional exercise. You hopping on the treadmill, you going on the Stairmaster, you going out for a walk, you doing some sort of resistance training is burning calories. Next up is NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this can be me fidgeting with my hands, talking with my hands, making dinner. This could be brushing your teeth. Something that is not structured physical activity is still burning calories. The last component of TDEE is your TEF, or your thermic effect of food. This is the processes that are required to digest, absorb your food, and certain macronutrients have a higher thermic effect of food than others. And all 4 of those components are comprised of your energy out, or the energy that you burn throughout the day. And what you need to keep in mind is that your TDEE, or the amount of calories that you burn throughout the day, is highly adaptive and can change very frequently. Our bodies are very, very smart. They want to stay within a certain homeostasis. And when your body understands that you are trying to lose weight, it's going to adapt its TDEE so that you don't burn as many calories as you really want to. So let's say you want to lose fat and you decrease your calories that you are eating by 300 calories. It's not going to want to prioritize fidgeting and twiddling its thumbs. No, you are unintentionally going to stop any unintentional movement just because your TDEE and your body is trying to adapt to that caloric deficit. Our bodies are experts at restoring energy balance. And so if your body understands that you're trying to lose fat, get into a calorie deficit, your TDEE is actually going to adapt and it's going to drop. So now that the maintenance calories that you are on right now are actually going to be lower. When your body understands that there is less food available, it will decrease its TDEE by decreasing the amount of energy that you expend, especially from functions that are not necessary for our immediate survival. For example, the process of menstruation is not necessary for immediate survival. As a result, if your body thinks that there is a threat and that you are not going to survive much longer, it's going to downregulate the amount of energy that it gives said menstrual cycle, and it's actually just going to stop because it's trying to save those calories, those energy processes for things that are really necessary for your survival, like your heart beating or your brain functioning. Another example of your body decreasing the TDEE would be decreasing the amount of energy that is giving to digestion. You may have more bloating, more constipation, more indigestion happen because your body is again trying to adapt. Because again, your body is trying to adapt, it's trying to keep you alive, sending more calories to immediate bodily functions for immediate survival. Not focusing on your digestion, which again is not necessary for your immediate survival. You may also find that you are getting more sick often because there is a decrease in your immune function, and also there's going to be less energy given to any cell growth. All of this will decrease your BMR, slowing down your metabolism, and so the deficit that you thought you were in isn't really there, but you're still eating lower and lower and lower calories. That isn't the full picture because muscle loss also plays a huge role in decreasing your metabolism. And research has shown that people who lose weight more quickly have an increased chance of losing more muscle. Muscle is not like fat. If we go back to the BMR, muscle is actually metabolically active. We actually burn more energy or burn more calories if you have more muscle on your body. So your BMR will actually go down if you have less muscle. But on top of that, the more muscle you lose, the greater chance of you having inefficient, unproductive workouts, because it's the muscle that enables you to have a higher energy workout or a more productive and efficient workout. The amount of strength you have, the amount of power you can endure, the more reps you can do is all dependent on how much muscle you have. Even before losing muscle, which can take weeks and months to even happen, your body is going to feel the effects of a large calorie deficit. You're going to feel very irritable. You're not going to be sleeping well. You're just going to have a low mood in general. And that is also going to drive your non-exercise activity thermogenesis downward. And when you start to fidget less, you stop parking your car further from the store, all of that is going to take less energy, all because you weigh less. That's why it's so important to retain that precious muscle. Muscle is your engine for future fat loss by supporting your BMR, your PA, your NEAT, and props up your energy expenditure. And so what does this all mean for you? Well, it means that blindly making energy cuts and cuts in your calorie is the wrong way to approach fat loss, because your body has compensation mechanisms that kick in to offset the calorie reduction. The last thing you really want is to just drive your TDE lower, lower, and lower until you're eating like 800 calories and are miserable. Not to mention, if you lost muscle in the process, your body composition just probably looks skinny fat, where you don't have nice glutes, round shoulders, a toned stomach, and you just look very thin with no muscle. So what you actually want to do is you want to gain muscle while keeping the TD as close to where you started. That means minimizing the compensation mechanisms and increasing your muscle mass as much as possible. How we achieve those two things is by creating small calorie deficits. I would suggest taking a caloric deficit of about 10% of your maintenance calories each day. So your maximum caloric deficit per day should not be more than 10% of your maintenance calories. And how you find your maintenance calories is by going to your favorite calorie tracking app, whether that be MyFitnessPal, My Macros, Chronometer. You type in what you eat every single day for about a week or two, and then average out those calories. And that will give you the caloric deficit you should have per day. I'm gonna take myself as an example. So if I wanted to lose fat today, I would take my maintenance calories, which is about 2,000 calories. And if that sounds really high for you, well, it's just because I've been resistance training and I've been, doing this properly for years and years and years and built up my metabolism. So I would take 10% of those 2,000 calories, which will give me 200 calories. So I would probably get myself into a caloric deficit of about 150 to 200 calories per day. So to get into that calorie deficit, what I would do is, yes, reduce my macros, reduce my calories a little bit, but not entirely. I'd probably make some slight adjustments to my resistance training, any step count first before I add in any additional cardio. So not all of my caloric deficit will come from solely the nutrition. It would come from energy expenditure as well. When it comes to nutrition in a caloric deficit, when you're trying to lose fat, there are certain things that I prioritize myself and I prioritize for my clients. Number one is abundance, keeping it higher volume foods, staying away from foods that are not conducive to feeling satiated or full for long periods of time. We are losing fat, but that doesn't mean your mentality needs to go to restriction, specifically restriction of food. It's about keeping an abundance of the foods that help you get to that fat loss goal. I ensure that I have micronutrient dense fruits, vegetables, starchy carbs readily available in my fridge because they are very high in volume and low in calories, meaning that your stomach is going to feel a lot more expanded. It's going to feel a lot more full eating a whole head of cabbage or a whole head of lettuce versus having 2 tablespoons of olive oil. In addition, the fruits and veggies are also going to help you chew your food properly. It's going to help increase the meal time because that way your brain can get the signal to increase leptin, which will help decrease your hunger. As you get better at this and as you start understanding more about nutrition, you will soon realize it's not actually about the calories themselves that make you feel more full. There are so many more cues like the length of your meal times, volume of your meals, the water content of your meals, your expectations of fullness. And as a result, that's why it's so easy to eat more calories when you are eating calorically dense food. Higher energy dense foods are just extra calories, but they don't actually make you feel more full because they are not voluminous. They're not high in water. They are fast foods, which will just lead to an easier caloric surplus. It all means that small caloric deficits with an abundant mindset are not just better for overall fat loss. They are so much easier than diets with a large caloric deficit and a restrictive mindset. So now let's talk about the training aspect of it. We already know 2 things. Number 1, the preservation of muscle is essential, especially if you want to maintain a high BMR. As a result, it will be easier to lose fat in the future. Not to mention, it's going to be a lot more sustainable. The second is that we can support our rough 10% lower caloric deficit by increasing our energy expenditure through our physical activity and any NEAT. That way, any changes that we make to food can be very minimal, but you're going to see great results. So prioritizing resistance training and sprinkling cardio here and there is the best way to preserve your muscle mass, even gain muscle mass, and lose your fat mass. Personally, if I was trying to lose fat, I would definitely make the most out of my resistance training sessions, taking as many sets to failure as possible. What that really means is that you would not be able to do another rep, or you can't do, another set with proper form. I always want to maximize hypertrophy, my strength, because that is a really good indicator if you are either losing muscle or maybe maintaining or gaining muscle. You want to make sure you keep an eye on what you are lifting to ensure that you are noting down any strength losses, because that is not good. I also really prioritize my compound movements and of course some accessory movements as well, just making sure I progressively overload, get as strong as possible throughout those movements. So that can be like a deadlift, a squat, a lunge, a split squat. It could also be a shoulder press, maybe bench press. Those are all exercises that require many muscles for you to be able to perform that lift with proper form. If you can recruit more muscles to help you with that movement, then you are going to theoretically increase your energy expenditure. I usually would decrease the amount of strength work that I do. I wouldn't really be doing super heavy lifts from 1 to 3 reps because that would decrease the overall training volume. It would also increase just general fatigue. And if you are prioritizing that progressive overload, your muscles need to recover in the process, which will take more calories to do so. And as a result, you are actually going to be burning calories after your resistance training workouts because your muscle is trying to repair from the damage that you did during that resistance training session. Cardio is really going to depend person by person. A lot of my clients first start off by hitting a step goal. Now, if you are somebody who doesn't have a lot of time but wants to get into a deeper caloric deficit, I would suggest maybe more of a HIIT training style where you're trying to maximize lots and lots of calories burned within a said session versus just taking an hour-long walk that would probably burn the same amount of calories. So Cardio is always going to be just sprinkled up in there, okay? But first, start by maximizing the amount of steps that you take and track your progress over a week. Then make any adjustments that you can make to fit your lifestyle. That's it for training and nutrition. I just want to give you a few more additional tips. Now, if you're using the scale weight as your primary driver of success, if you are undergoing body changes, different body recomposition, you are setting yourself up for failure. Your weight on the scale comprises of bone, muscles, water, organs, and fat. Losing one of those will have you lose weight on the scale, but it's not necessarily the weight that you want to lose. And that's why progress pics are my besties. You want to take your progress photos before breakfast, after you go to the bathroom in the morning, for the most accurate way of how you are actually looking. Another metric you want to take inventory of is how your clothes are fitting. So right now I'm in a building phase and my leggings are a little bit tighter around my waistband, a little bit tighter around my legs, but that is okay because that is my goal. However, if fat loss is your goal, you want to take inventory of how your jeans are fitting, if your engagement ring is feeling a bit looser, are your clothes just feeling less tight overall. Sleep is so underrated in the fat loss space. It will regulate your daily hormones and it will actually dictate if you feel full at meals or if you are hungry. Research has shown that 3 nights of sleep deprivation actually increases ghrelin levels. And so if you are sleep deprived, you can just by default feel more hungry, which then significantly increases the amount of calories we eat. Not to mention that if you are sleep deprived, your cravings will increase, and as a result, that will lead to more temptations. I hope that gave you more insight on how you can optimize your overall fat loss muscle building process. Let me know in the comments below if you found this video helpful. That's it for me, guys. Make sure to give this video a huge thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye.